So here we have a battlezone aux board, or a math box board. And this one was having issues with, when it was in test mode, it would display, I think it was displaying T for timeout. So there's not actually many chips on this board. We have a Pokey, which often goes bad, and a bunch of these bit slice processor, I think they were AMD, they're called 2901s. But this thing has a ton of bipolar PROMs. And sometimes these get bad, and one of the problems with these is, unlike normal PROMs, you can't just stick them in, a cheap EPROM programmer and read them. In fact, unless you have a very old or very expensive EPROM reader, you can't read them. Same with programming. However, I designed this, which is an adapter that lets you use modern EPROMs, fast flash EPROMs, to replace these. And I use these sometimes for testing when I think there's a bad EPROM or EPROM's missing. I usually don't use these when I fix the boards. I'll actually buy these because they're so big. Once I know it's not working, and I know by testing with this that it does work, I'll often just buy there's a guy in Canada that programs these at a decent price, and he has them. These are actually, the actual chips are also hard to find. But once I know it's working by using my EPROMs, then I'll order a real, one for the actual production board. Once in a while, especially if it's on my own board, if it's only one chip or something, I might leave it in there, or I might ask someone if I was fixing a board for them, whether they want me to, get a new one or just use one of these. But these are great for testing. When you think the EPROM is bad or if it's missing and you just want to put one in there and make sure everything works before you order one. But even better, well, maybe not even better, but just as good, is while they can be used to replace EPROMs, bipolar PROMs, they can also be used to read them. The way to read them is by installing it in reverse. Normally you would install you'd put your big socket there and your little pins there. But if you reverse that and put the socket pins on the pins on the outside and a socket on the inside, you can actually use this to read the EPROMs. You stick it in there, and then you use your cheap EPROM reader to read them. You can use them just like you would use your cheap EPROM reader to write them if you're using one of these chips. Okay, so I did that on this board, and I found these three ones were actually bad. I'm just going to walk you through reading that. You get your GQ-4X, which is a cheap EPROM reader. It's really nice. It works really well. Can't natively program these, but it does basically everything else. And it's very convenient because it's modern. It's USB. Works with Windows 10. I don't know if it has Linux support. I think it does. I thought I read it that it does. But anyway, you just pop it in there, and you read that as a 27512. Okay? And then we're going to run some scripts on the internet to convert it to a different file of main format, and then you can actually test it to see if it's good. So there's that. Now I'll show you how to actually read it.
So let's start up our GQ-4X software and make sure our device is set to 27512. So then we'll set our device here to 27512, which it actually already was set at, but it's always good practice just to type it in there. Pop our chip in and read. Now we're going to save this file onto our desktop, and we will call it M1 because that's the slot that it was in. Now we go to this web page here, arcade-cabinets.com/resources, and we are going to search for the link that says convert a 27512 image to a 82S129 because that was the type of ROM that we were using. and we'll click on it, and then choose the file that we saved, M1, and then submit form, and just save the file back as the same name. Just save right over that file. It will ask if you want to replace it. Absolutely. Now we're going to go to the ROM ident site and just put in our file. Now this file was one that was bad, and you see that it doesn't match any known ROM dump at all. So now let's try one that was good. First, we'll take out the old chip and put in a new chip in our reader, and then we'll go ahead and read it. This was F1, so we're just going to save it as F1 when we save it. And then we're going to go through that whole same process again. We're going to go to that script to convert it, and then we're going to, once it's converted, we're just going to upload it to ROM ident. So we'll select the file that we just created or converted, and there you go. You see this actually shows up as battlezone, and you even see it shows up as chip F1. So that's how you can really quickly just pull those bipolars out and make sure they're okay.